gone in the direction of more learning, more growth, never settling. How have you seen the medical industry shift? How have you seen other things around you shift with time? Because you've really gone all the way. Do you think that we are seeing shifts in the medical world?
Yeah, we are seeing shifts. When I started, I felt like a loner.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But now integrative medicine is part of every institution, even including academia. And in the last 15, 20 years, our foundation has done a lot of research. So we've made it pretty mainstream right now. So to summarize very shortly, what has taken 30 years to learn or more, 40 years to learn, is that only 5% of disease-related gene mutations are fully penetrant. So let me explain this for those for a lay audience. So a genetic mutation is a mistake. It's an error in the gene. Genes are stretches of DNA that code for proteins. So DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid, and there are 4 of these named after alphabets: adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine, ATCG. So ATCG are the 4 letters of life. In English, we have 26 letters. And most languages, human languages, we have more than 20 letters. But the language of life, DNA, has only 4 letters, ATCG. And these spell out words that we call genes. And the body is a story spelled out by those genes. So when people say first there was the word was made into flesh, in a way it's very literal actually when you start to look at the biological mechanism. Now once in a while, or more than once in a while, there are genetic mistakes. So you might think of them, again, we're speaking metaphorically, but a spelling mistake. So instead of the word being spelled correctly, maybe one of the letters, ATCG, is missing, or it's in the wrong place, or it's upside down, or you have redundant 2 letters instead of 1. That mistake, genetic variation, is called a mutation. Now, only 5% of these genetic mutations that are associated with disease, cancer, heart disease, arthritis, strokes, you name it, autoimmune diseases, Alzheimer's, only 5% actually guarantee the disease, which means if you have one of those mutations, you're going to get the disease. Like Angelina Jolie had a gene called the BRCA gene, which predicts breast cancer, 100%. So she had a mastectomy to prevent the cancer, rightly so. For those 5%, there are new technologies that are being developed right now. And CRISPR is one of them, which means you can cut and paste the gene the way you would an email. So you would take the defective gene, you'd read the barcode with a molecular scissors, you delete it, and then you'll insert the right gene. It's not happening right now, but it'll happen in the near future. But what people don't understand is that's 5% of illness.
Wow.
The rest, even the genetic mistakes that are associated with disease, depends on how you live your life. And very simple things like sleep, meditation and stress management, movement, yoga and pranayama. Now, yoga and pranayama goes way beyond exercise, because with yoga and pranayama, there's a particular nerve in the body called the vagus nerve. It's the 10th nerve. And the word vagus is a Latin word, but it's related to the English word vagabond. So this nerve comes from the midbrain. It influences your facial expressions. So you can now do micro expressions and see if a person is happy or not. It influences the eye movements. It influences the tone of your voice. Are you threatened? Are you stressed? Are you friendly? Are you happy? It influences your heart rate activity. Then it pierces the diaphragm, and it influences the activity of every other branch of the vagus nerve that goes to all the organs in the body. So when I discovered this through yoga teachers and masters, I realized that the yoga asanas, we say yoga asana, and people usually translate that into as postures.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, the word asana means seat, as you know, seat of awareness, seat of consciousness. So each yogasana is a particular seat of consciousness that stimulates a particular nerve that is going to an organ in your body. And the only reason for that nerve is self-regulation or healing or homeostasis. So when I discovered that, I became fanatic about yoga. I haven't missed yoga now for as long as I can remember.
That's
not
amazing.
One day.
Wow.
Okay, not one day of yoga or meditation or pranayam. So it was a long time. So when you put together, you know, yoga, movement, sleep, stress management, healthy relationships and emotions like love, compassion, joy, equanimity, food that doesn't kill your microbiome, which is the 2 million extra genes in our body, which are not human. So you only have 25,000 human genes, but you have 2 million bacterial genes in your body. This is called the microbiome. It's as important as the human genome. So you can change the activity of your microbial genes just by changing your diet. So if you go, not even vegan, but if you go maximum diversity on plant-based foods, and foods that are not contaminated with antibiotics or hormones or insecticides, you can change your genetic activity and the population of your genes in less than 6 weeks. And which means then you're reinventing your body because your body is spelled out by your genes. So this got me going strongly into how do we reinvent our bodies by resurrecting our souls and going past our minds. And that's what I'm obsessed with now.
Wow, I love that. I'm so glad you're obsessed with it, because the fact that we're so responsible for our own well-being is huge, in the sense of belief that there are ways in which we can rewrite that story.
You can rewrite the genetic structure of your body. You can't change the human genes, by the way, because you got them from your parents, but you can change their activity. So here's one of our researchers. We put people through a 1-week retreat where they not only learned mantra meditation, but they also practiced the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali from the chapter on the siddhis, particularly transcending the senses. In 1 week, literally, and this is published now in major peer-reviewed journals. If people want to check them out, go to choprafoundation.org and you'll see all the research. And the research was in collaboration with scientists from Harvard, from UCSF, from Duke, from Scripps, of course, Chopra Foundation, Mount Sinai in New York. And what did we find? We found that in 1 week of this practice of meditation and the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, all the genes that are responsible for healing and self-regulation, they went up some 17-fold over baseline. These are human genes. And the genes that cause disease or inflammation went down drastically. The enzyme, there's an enzyme in our body called telomerase. It influences the length of telomeres, which are like little buttons at the end of your chromosomes. The level of the enzyme went up 40% in 1 week, which means people were reversing their biological age at a genetic level.
Wow.
Okay, now how far does this go? We don't know.
And that was just 1 week.
It's just 1 week. And the